good out there, y'all? This is GeekSet Radio. You're now rocking with the best. My name is Judd, and with me, like always, I got my main man Danny.
What's up, people? Danny, aka Newark Hip Hop, here with you.
Alright, so y'all know the deal. This is everything tech, pop culture. So as always, we're gonna start with our tech segment. Our boy King.com, fresh out the joint. He says he's gonna start another music venture. He's really that nigga's pressing his luck.
Yeah, he is. I mean, if anybody's seen the other thing, they released a video not so long ago of the raid on his mansion, and they sent the Call of Duty guys in after him. And you beat something like that, and
this huge his shit like Bin Laden.
Yeah, and this huge case they got on him. But I mean, the reason he's out, there was a problem with one of the warrants or something or the other. But yeah, I mean, he's fresh out beating with a case still probably pending, and he's already on tweeting talking about his new site, Megabox.com.
Yeah, I think like you and I were talking in the pre-production, is like this is a good ass look. Let me find the details. Basically, they're the problem is, and we'll get our tinfoil hats out in a second, but the gist of how this is going to work is that he's basically going to be paying the artists are going to be able to directly make money from the downloads, even if they're free.
Yep.
So they're cutting out the middleman, basically.
Yeah, they're going to be able to keep 90% of the revenue from their music, and not even that. You're going to be able to download. Their artists are going to be able to make money, even if the music is free. So what this almost basically does is, to a certain point, and we need more details on how the free music is going to go and what price, how much they're going to get. But there might be a situation where you make more money giving your music away than you make actually charging for it on there. So that'll be unprecedented, especially for newer artists.
Oh yeah,
for newer artists,
because you don't have to jump through hoops to get your shit distributed now.
Yep, shit, I'm gonna start making some music.
Shit, you might be able to make some money with all the garbage rap they have now.
If it's like that, but yeah, he's really he's going around all these executives and all these major labels and just circumventing their whole process and telling people, look, let's just make money like this online. And then this is totally legal. He's not having there was a certain aspect of Megaupload which, whether we like it or not, was illegal to it, but that's neither here nor there. But this whole thing he has going on now, this is totally legal. Like I said, this guy has the assets to back it up, because even though they froze some of his money or whatever, this guy is obviously not an idiot. This guy's
he is a fucking genius.
The guy is a smart guy, so his assets and his money is probably everywhere. And again, he's in New Zealand over there, where they wouldn't go as hard on him as they would over here. But it's going to be interesting to see how Megabox works, and it is going to have storage features also with it. So again, it's going to be competing with not only music labels, but also with Google Music and iTunes to a certain extent. And if he can get the prices lower, if the artists can start selling their music at a lower price on Megabox and keeping a larger percentage of the profit, they'll go over there. But again, it all depends, because a lot of major artists aren't going to be able to jump on this because they're going to be restricted probably by their labels or whatnot.
Right. Well, I think the big thing is that now the money that the artists are going to see is basically coming from Megabox, not so much from the consumer. You know what I mean? Because they're getting paid from the service, because he's figuring out how to make money off of people downloading all the web traffic and stuff. There's money coming into his site, and that's the money that he's using to pay the artists. I'm assuming that's how it's going to work, because even if the downloads freeze, the artists are going to make money. So it's probably going to have some kind of tier where okay, well, we'll say Pop That French Montana song. Pop That has 2,000 downloads from Megabox. All right, 2,000 downloads nets you X amount of money. And that's probably the type of thing that is going to be the type of deals that he has with these artists. But I wouldn't be surprised if something mysterious happened to Kin.com, because these suits are not going to like that at all. But this is the way that it should be. Artists are making their money off their creation.
Yeah, No, that's like you said. That's the way it should be, and it started back. This started back when I remember. I'm going.
That's when he got knocked because I think wasn't he talking about that before he got
no. This was in the talks since early in the year, and I think it was supposed to like officially drop around right before he got locked up. Big coincidence there, but yeah, he's saying it's gonna drop by the end of the year. The site Megabox is gonna open by the end of the year, and let's see. But yeah, these labels, man, they're getting a whooping. I mean, you figured they would have learned back there. I remember when CDs were still popping, and people were paying like $20 per CD. And even back then, I remember on my little AOL dial-up, reading about freaking artists were getting the short end of the stick. Like these back then, especially in rap, it wasn't uncommon for rappers to sell 1 million. Like 1 million was like anybody could sell 1 million. I mean, not like now. People sell 1 million. Wayne sells 1 million or something, and it's like a really big deal. But people gotta remember back then, fucking rappers like Dragon, and
Dragon's album was dope.
It was no.
Fucking slamming him.
No. I'm just saying like Dragon, relatively.
You had dudes like
Black Rob and them too.
Young Turk was pushing money.
Everybody was selling millions worth of albums, but we're seeing pennies back. And then even the people behind the music were like, shit, we're paying $20 and things for CDs, like, and people weren't having that, like prices. And these record labels didn't want to drop the prices on CDs. So what happened? Motherfuckers started ripping and sharing music, and now
that's
look.
How it all started because people got pissed off for paying.
And now look, CDs are almost, I don't want to say non-existent, but when's the last time you seen a kid with a CD player? You haven't. And these record labels now, they have to start including these artists. Like whenever I see anything like this, I'm all for it. I am all for it. So I hope.
Anytime the consumer has more power, especially not even from a consumer standpoint, actually from the artist standpoint.
Yeah.
Because it's their work. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm all for their work.
So let's see how this goes. I know there's going to be beef with because remember, these musicians, they still got to put out the music and market it and stuff like that. So let's see if he finds a way to help their marketing out, a way that can totally eliminate these big labels, or at least have these big labels cooperate with him.
Yeah, this is basically going to be the 2012 version of selling shit out your trunk.
For real.
Moving along, our favorite new gadget that's on the horizon, Danny, they're talking about the Microsoft Surface going to drop at $200.
Yeah, and this was actually, apart from when you told me about this was actually reconfirmed by Lenovo, I think I maybe pronounced that right. Lenovo, I'm sorry. Lenovo, I want to say it was the VP or somebody up there.
That's IBM, basically.
Yeah, he was saying that the RT versions are going to be about $300 to $500 less than the enterprise versions, which are going to put them at around anywhere from $200 to $400 or $300 to $500 price, which isn't bad at all. I mean, that's the price point. I'm really happy to hear that because Microsoft, and I'm gonna talk about this a little bit later on when I speak about my experience with Windows 8. Microsoft is gonna have not a totally hard time, but it's gonna take some convincing to get people to pick up a tablet with Windows 8 instead of picking up a Google tablet or an Android tablet or an iPad. And price point was the one major deal. And like I said, at $200 to $400 or whatever, that's a good price point. And especially not just for the average consumer, but so universities or elementary schools can start picking these things up. Because, at a $200, $300 price, that's a regular 1 unit price. There's going to be bulk discounts.
Right.
If a school buys 500 of these at a time. And, it's a lot easier. Schools, kids, everybody's used to Windows. Everybody's used to PowerPoint, to Word. Everybody's just used to using Windows. Instead of, trying to teach these kids how to use Android or iOS to do something else, which is something that's already happening. And Microsoft is losing a step or two. But again, when you go into most schools, it'll be Windows. There'll be like 1 or 2 Apple computer labs. And the really nicer, richer schools, it'll be all Apple computer labs. But this is going to help schools get in there, which is when we were talking last week. That's a definitely good start. So at $200 to $400, they got their heads in the right place.
Now this one that's supposed to be the $200 one, is that the one that has the fold-out keyboard?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. This is the joints with the fold-out keyboard. I forgot the difference. The difference in these.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to ask you because I know the expensive one is supposed to be a beast, but I don't remember. Have they even talked about any of the specs in there?
Yeah.
Yes,
it is. It is spec wise, and I want to say I don't want to half-ass it, but it definitely has to do with the type of processor that they're
using the ARM.
Yeah, I think it's the higher ones, the more expensive ones, the enterprise versions have the ARM, and it's the amount of storage space and a couple of input and output deals. But
yeah, it's definitely something to be on the lookout for. I do like the little pull-out keyboard because, for especially for me and you.
And it's a flat surface, right? If I'm not wrong.
But you can still input everything that you need because, for now, say I'm taking notes on my tablet or something like that, and then I have to plug my tablet in, or I'll upload it on Google Drive, which is becoming like my favorite app. But with this, it's nice because you can type a document out, and boom, it's already in Excel format, or it's already in Word format, or it's already in PowerPoint. For people that are business oriented on the go, that like to take their work with them, while they're traveling or whatever. But like you said earlier, it's price point for them is going to be big, and I want to see how Windows 8 actually looks on a tablet service. I want to see how that works out. But I think it's going to be great for in the business world.
And there's a Surface RT and there's Surface Windows 8 Pro. The RT has a NVIDIA chip, and the Pro runs a Ivy Bridge processor.
That's why it's so goddamn expensive.
Yeah. The Pro one is a little bit more heavyweight.
Is it running the i3 or the i5?
Let me see. Doesn't say.
Okay.
Doesn't
I
say.
would imagine that. I mean, there's a difference between the two, but I wonder if Microsoft is going to half-ass it and throw the i3 in there, or if they're really going to go for the home run swing and throw the i5 in there. This is going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
So from one tablet that in the business world, going to another one that just got the official launch is the Note 10.1. We talked about it a little bit last week. I'm pretty fucking hype about this thing, man. This shit is nice.
Yeah, it is. It's a really nice tablet. I mean, last week we brought it up because there was already leaks about it. So we were talking about the leaks, the unofficial thing. But yeah, on the 16th, it pretty much officially dropped, the Galaxy Note 10.1. The main feature they're pushing on this one is the digital S Pen, which is real cool. I don't know if you remember last year, the year before last, the Microsoft Courier. You remember seeing that little tablet?
Nah.
It had like a little dual screen, and you could sketch, and they were doing like fashion sketches on it.
Nah.
Yeah, that actually got really big reviews, and it was using a little pen type of deal. And I think this Note took a little thing from that.
Well, it started with the cell phone, the Note, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, this is a gimmick." I'm not actually, I take that back. It started with the HTC Flyer. That's when they started bringing this back. The HTC Flyer has a little pen, and then Samsung did it with the Note. But the pen is actually pretty dope because it's got the little sensor in it, and you can change like the width of the stroke or whatever like that. And I think we were talking about it last week. This is going to be great for businesses, but the other cool thing is it has Photoshop already in there.
Yeah, it has a Adobe Photoshop Touch, a version of it, or whatever. You can do a full photo editing. I said the S Pen is going to be real big on this thing. Like once you take the S Pen out of the little holder thing, it brings up like its own suite of applications with it, like a note-taking application, the Photoshop Touch for photo editing. It has its own video browser, its own email gallery, its own Office type of deal. But yeah, it's pretty much Samsung's been putting out high quality tablets.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. Other companies, Acer's put out a bunch of their A series tablets. Some have been real good, some haven't. but I can't think of one Samsung tablet that hasn't been a high quality tablet. They've, and it's a shame because they've been having their issues with Apple. Apple's been dragging them through the mud.
I say they're so good that Apple's getting pissed off at them.
Yeah, Apple's been dragging them through the mud. And they've been looking past that and just putting out very, very fucking good tablets, one behind the other. And I think this Galaxy Note 10.1 is just, like I said, it's taken. It has all the specs that they expect in the front and the back facing camera, 1.4 quad core, 2 gigs of internal RAM, the 5 megapixel back camera, 1.9 megapixel front camera. There's a photo sharing application, so on the S3.
Yep. There's
seems to have the same camera as the S3, which is pretty good. There's content sharing capabilities. It's this tablet from again, because I noticed a lot of these companies are like Google put out the Nexus 7, and that was just for the regular masses to take up content. I think with this tablet, Samsung is really getting at the creative.
Yes,
this isn't not that it isn't for anybody. Anybody can go out and buy it, but this is really for the creative, note taking. You're the kid in school taking the architecture or your engineering classes.
Exactly. I think I said it last week, man. Like we were talking. Like, can you imagine you're an architect and maybe you're a construction planner or something like that, and everybody's standing around in a briefing, and they click one button. The same schematic that was on the main screen is in everybody's tablet in front of them. And then you can edit, or, say you have a question and you go, what about this section of the structure here? And you circle it with your S Pen and you beam it to everybody else and on the main screen. And everybody can see it. That's going to be such a great tool. I think I'm going to get one.
That is, I'm surprised. And the price point on this one, I believe, is going to be $400. I read, that puts it right. That put for what this tablet does. And I know I've spoken a lot before in the past about prices and whatever, but for the specs and for what this does, that is a perfect price. And I'd be surprised if they were making much off this tablet for that price. Like you said, like just sharing content, and Samsung needs to do something where they maybe it already exists. I just don't know about it. Like start integrating like this sharing thing into their TVs.
They do.
Oh, they do. Okay.
You can. I remember I had the original Galaxy. Mm-hmm. I had the European version because that was the first one with the front-facing camera. The Captivate and all that didn't have the front-facing camera.
Yep.
But it has a program where you can beam your music and all that. Basically, use your phone as a server, and you can play everything through the TV or movies through your phone or from your phone through the TV and things like that, and play it through your stereo and all that. So if somebody has a Samsung TV, maybe it won't have internet connection, but maybe they have like one of those high-speed ass Blu-ray players with the Wi-Fi built in and all of that.
Yeah.
And you can play everything through your tablet, use that as a remote, and share everything through it. But yeah, they do have it, and you're right. It's a great thing because no matter where you're at, you can keep your media right there.
Yeah, I'd really like. I think we're going to see a lot more in the future coming up with all phones and tablets. A lot more sharing capability, especially now that NFC is becoming real big or whatever. But yeah, this is definitely if you're in the looks for a high end tablet with not a bad price, take a hard look at the Galaxy Note 10.1 from Samsung.
I'm really considering. I was talking to my boy yesterday. He was like, "Yo, did you see that Samsung joint dropped?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "I wonder how much it's gonna cost." And he's like, "I don't know, man." He said, "For the things that you're getting, I would be surprised if it's under 500. It might be even pushing 6." And I'm like, I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, I can see why the price would be that much. We're talking quad-core processors and 2 gigs of RAM here. But then I said, you know what? Samsung's not stupid. They can take a little bit of a hit at first for selling the product at a low point, but I think this one's going to do numbers overall. Just for being, probably $150 cheaper than its competitor.
And the Note, like I said, Samsung's building up the.
And it looks nice.
They're building up the Note name, like the original Note. I was reading the other day, the original Note has actually moved. I believe it was like the phone. It was like 2 million of them they've sold.
Yeah, that phone is nice, man.
Which
I wanted that to come to Sprint. When the Galaxy Nexus was getting ready to drop for Sprint, there was all kinds of rumors that the Note was going to come out. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I hope the Note comes out because I can finagle some stuff and get my upgrade early. And it just never fell through. But now they're talking about the Note 2. We might talk about it when some more rumors surface a little bit more that we can stand on a little bit, because mostly now it's hearsay. But basically what they're saying for the new Note is going to be basically like the Galaxy S3, except bigger. The screen is actually going to be bigger. It's the same size, but they're just going to have, like, there's virtually no bezel on that phone. So all the face of the phone is going to be screen. So Samsung is doing a lot of crazy shit, pulling a lot of stuff out of their pockets, and they have to. They got to keep them lawyers on track, man.
Let me make a correction on that before we move on. I'm sorry. The 16 gigabytes actually going to be 500, and the 32 gigabytes 550.
That's still not too bad.
Yeah, it's for certain. You're getting 16 gigabytes 500 for all this. How much
are the iPads that are 16 gig iPad?
16 gig iPad. I think it's more than that, to be honest.
Let's see. Let's do a quick Google search for comparison here. The new iPad, I guess, is 16 gigs. It says Best Buy for $499.
Oh yeah, not bad. But then you gotta think you're
getting more.
Yeah, you're getting more for your money in the Samsung. You know, unless you want to be a cool guy and say you have an iPad and you want to pay for the name, then if name is more important than substance to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, the only thing I can really say is the new iPad, that screen is really, really, really fucking nice.
Yeah.
But still, I would imagine that, Samsung makes those Retina displays anyway. So, don't throw rocks at me when we're talking about it, guys. A lot of y'all accuse us of standing Samsung and standing Google. But truth is truth. But, Apple, they can do whatever they want to. But I don't imagine that the screen on the Note is going to be anything to scoff at, because it's probably going to be just a bigger version of what's on the Galaxy S3, and that screen is beautiful.
Indeed.
But like I was saying about Samsung keeping their lawyers on speed dial, what's going on with this lawsuit?
Well, there's been two interesting developments. I'm gonna talk about this one first. They're saying if this week Samsung rested its part of the case in on the patent case or whatever, and they're saying that Samsung could see as much as $420 million if the case goes on their behalf or whatever. That's one thing. And the other thing, and again, I don't think we're gonna spend too much time into details and stuff with this, because it's really a clusterfuck. It's really a clusterfuck. I've read everything on here, from shit to like screen sizes to icon sizes and everything. It's really a clusterfuck. The second thing was that the judge told Apple's lawyers, are they smoking crack? Because Apple wanted to call 22 witnesses up to the stand in their rebuttal or whatever, and the judge was like, hell no, like, we're not doing that. We are not doing that. They're already, like, you guys are already wasting too much time with this shit.
Just stonewalling it, man. The thing that pisses me off, and I got into like a mini argument on Twitter, and they're like, it was me, I'm not going to name names, we're not going to do that show today. It was me, another person that is a tech head, and someone else who isn't a tech head. I don't mind the tech head if they know what they're talking about, on both sides of the fence. You can be an Apple fan and be a tech head and recognize what's sane and what's not sane. And they're talking about, basically, it all comes down to trying to fucking copyright a shape. And he's like, that's clearly copyright infringement there. I'm like, man, shut up, because you don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? They wanted it, I read somewhere, and I don't know if it's true or not. I think I might have told you this a while ago, is that they tried to actually, like, trademark the name Apple.
Yeah.
Like, they tried to, so that nobody could use Apple. I'm like, dude, and they tried to trademark App Store, and they said no, it's too generic of a term because they tried to sue Amazon.
I mean, I know I just said it jokingly, but I'm reading here in the article, and it says that some feel that Apple is even trying to patent rectangles with rounded corners.
Exactly, because they showed the white Galaxy tab.
Yep.
And they're like, that looks exactly like an iPad. And I'm like, the iPad, we're really gonna call it here. The iPad looks more like a square, but realistically, what do you expect them to make it out of? That's I really want someone to answer me that question. Like, what do you want them to make the tablet out of? It can't be a fucking triangle.
Exactly. A circle?
Yeah, I mean, that's what blows me, because Apple can do so much stuff, and it's like, I really want them to push the limit for developing stuff, because at the end of the day, when there's development between two companies that make fantastic products, the consumer wins 100% of the time, because we're getting the best experience because they want to outdo each other. But this shit, taking it to the judge and taking it to the lawyer, that shit is whack.
Yeah, let's see. Like I said, they're looking, if they lose this case, I mean, $400 million is pretty much nothing to Apple.
That would still put a little dent in that. Actually, that helps Samsung more than it hurts Apple. I think that's going to help Samsung, and we might be able to see some benefit out of that as consumers.
Yeah, I think it hurts Apple instead of in their pockets, reputation-wise.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, okay.
Because the average
person,
will look at it like, oh, even the average person still isn't going to care, but they might look at it, oh, so Apple was copying Samsung. That's what the average person might look at. More tech heads will think this.
Like I tell everybody, I don't see how they can accuse Samsung of stealing something when, I mean, the people at Apple did design. They had an idea of what they wanted, but let's be reality here. That iPad is a Samsung device. That processor has a Samsung brand on it. Those motherboards is Samsung. That stuff is made by Samsung. And I don't know how this affects business between the two of those, though.
Yeah, I've read that. I find it weird, that whole connection they got going on. But more than anything, they both, they're both making money. Samsung's making money on using their processor, and Apple is probably benefiting from using Samsung as a distributor.
Right,
as a chip maker.
It's smart. You don't have the I won't say resources, because they can do whatever the fuck they want because they're loaded, but they don't have the means to build their own stuff. Apple is great at designing something and bringing it, and they go, hey, we want this. So they get all the Samsung parts, and it gets assembled just with the Apple branding, and it's designed by Apple. It's just not built. So for whatever reason, somebody tried to hit me with this. I said, y'all know this is Samsung's building that, right? Well, why would Samsung take away their business from Apple? And I'm like, well, do you realize how much other money Samsung makes from their other products? Yeah, the iPhone business is great, the iPad business is great, but, that's not going to sink them. It would hurt Apple more than Samsung, is what I'm trying to say, in my opinion.
Yeah, it would.
All right, so what's going on with EA, man? They're trying to. I think they're getting hit hard. They're trying to sell the company.
Yeah, EA. That was a big rumor this week. It was a big rumor. And I mean, it's been a bad week. I'm gonna say semi-bad week for some of these gaming companies, because Onlive, the company Onlive too, they pretty much got sold. They pretty much got sold, and at this point, it's with them. It's not if they're gonna get sold or not. It's if they're even going to stay open. They laid off half of their employees. And then later on in the week, it came out that EA is under some financial difficulties too. Because I mean, it's tough out there, man. Unless your name is pretty much Call of Duty. Unfortunately, and I'm gonna get the hate for this, but unless your name is Call of Duty, the game market really isn't moving
well,
units.
I mean, I'm gonna counter that though, because EA makes Madden, but I mean, I haven't bought Madden in a long time.
Yeah, but Madden isn't. I mean, Madden moves units, but
that's really it.
But but Call of Duty is a whole different monster.
Oh yeah. But I'm saying, Madden's moving numbers, but I mean, what else does EA make besides what do they make?
They make Battlefield.
Asphalt, right? They make Asphalt.
Yeah, the online. But that's the little online one. I mean, console wise, they make a Battlefield too.
Okay, yeah.
They make the Battlefield
They make
series.
something else, but it's been hard. You don't see EA like you used to.
I remember EA Sports. It's in the game. You used to hear that shit at all your fucking sports games.
It's so much bullshit too, especially with like we're talking about Madden and all that with licensing. And I don't see how they can't make money because they're the only ones that can make an NFL game right now. The NFL is such a huge market in America. Like, people love their football player, and it does millions and millions and millions and billions of dollars in revenue. And they're the only ones that can make an NFL football game. Because it used to be, and I know you're not a big sports head, but it used to be 2K had their own football game. It was hosted by ESPN, and it was a great, great game. I forget what year it is. I'm sure somebody's going to correct me. It had Terrell Owens on the cover when he played for the Eagles. I want to say it was 2K3 or 2K4, but a lot of people still play that game to this day because it was such a great game, engine-wise and all that. And EA, I think they just got lazy, and I think that's what it eventually just boiled down to. Madden doesn't do the same numbers that it used to, and that was their bread and butter for a decade.
And they're not really. They're really not. It's the same complaint people give with Madden is the one they give with a Call of Duty, saying that Madden doesn't innovate year from they change the covers, change the players, but the engine's staying the same. I hear that all the time, but I think really come on people, what the fuck, like it's a football game. How much are they gonna change?
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that could be done. I mean, and let's be real. I mean, a game's never gonna be fucking perfect. As much as we want it to, it's never going to be perfect. But there's just little stuff that people feel like it can be improved on. But you're putting one every single year, so you're only going to see a marginal improvement every single year. I'm not as picky as I see a lot of people are, and I notice that about myself, is that a lot of people are really hard on games. Like, well, this doesn't have as many frames per second as this game. And I'm like, do you like the game? Well, yeah, it's fun. Shut the fuck up then. That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be fun. Stop worrying about, how many frames per second this game gets on your screen. Like, all that matters is the game looks nice and the game is fun. I keep it simple all the time. I'm not a huge gamer, but, I mean, and I am a nerd when it comes to stuff, but, like, it's a game, y'all. It's a game. And EA is really taking a hit here, and I think it was you that jokingly said Google need to be blowing up them phones. Yeah.
I mean, go ahead and buy them. Go ahead and buy them. I mean, the other thing that's been happening with the gaming industry is, I think this generation, some people might disagree, but this generation's kind of reached its peak, pretty much, one, and two, people need to start acknowledging the role of tablet and phone gaming.
Especially now you can use your PlayStation controllers, your Xbox controllers on your tablet.
Yeah, again, I'm not saying that little app games or whatever are reaching the same numbers as these Madden games or whatever, but it's not like it used to be. Before consoles were the only source of gaming. Now you have the phones, the tablets. You got the smart TVs.
Portable gaming systems too.
Yeah, portable gaming system. Motherfuckers can play on that. Like, people really ain't beat on these games. And the other thing, these series, they're reaching their end. Like, they had hardcore fans. Like, Madden's been around since like forever. I remember Madden starting to become real big around Madden 95.
Yeah, that was and I was gonna fucking shit on Sega.
I'm telling you, I'm not even a sports fan, but I own that shit. I had that one. That's when it was real big. And again, you gotta think from Madden 95 all the way to fucking now. That's 17 years for a franchise to fucking to go on. And I think they may be reaching their peak. Or they reached their peak a couple of years ago, and that's what's happening with EA. And just moving on to Onlive really quick. I was actually pretty mad at this because I'm a big fan of Onlive. I am a big fan. If anybody's read my post on thekali.com, I'm a big fan of Onlive and cloud gaming, because I think that's going to be the future as far as gaming goes, cloud gaming. And I had been reading up on them ever since they first launched, and I almost copped it at first launch, but I held off basically because of something like this, because I'm like, this is totally left field. Let's see where they're going to go with it. And for some reason, like about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I started to get into them again. And I even downloaded their software back on, I downloaded it for the first time on my laptop and downloaded it on my tablet. And I started playing a bit. And I was even on eBay looking for a couple of their $50 wireless controls. And then fuck around and this shit happens. They basically the guy, the CEO and the people running the company were innovating. Even though they weren't making that much money, you weren't hearing about them that much. They kept innovating, and they innovated to the point where they didn't have money. Yeah, so now they're pretty much sold. But I know I joke with EA, Google being bought by EA, but I really would like to see Google or some other major company, even Valve. The people behind Steam.
People are clamoring for Valve to come and get in. I think that would be a good look too.
I want to see somebody buy this because again, it's a really. You should go try it, download it. It's a good interface that they have going, especially if you have a strong internet connection. It's a good interface. It's a good service. And again, cloud computing is going to be the future of gaming. Eventually, these guys are just maybe about 5 to 7 years ahead of a little bit too early. I don't want to say ahead of the game because if they were ahead of the game, they wouldn't be closing. But they were 5 to 7 years too early with their vision.
They're just like the Sega Dreamcast, man.
Basically.
But so as another console, and you like segued to it perfect. You actually did my job for me. The Ouya, it's got almost 9 milli saved up or raised up, I should say.
Yeah.
I think probably me and you are in agreement. This is gonna be the next wave for console/cloud gaming.
Yeah, we spoke when we first brought it up when it first was popping, and their Kickstarter funding is pretty much over. They raised 8.59, rounded up to 8.6, $9 million on Kickstarter worth of funding. And I mean, the Kickstarter this isn't even the highest one. The highest one on Kickstarter, I believe, was the Pebble smartwatch, which did about 10 million or something. And Kickstarter's had a couple of big projects and a couple of millions. And each project has had shipping difficulties. So let's see what's going to happen with these guys. But yeah, they surpassed their funding, and again, this is going to be the future of gaming, and the future of Android gaming is going to be the Ouya. And if people don't know, it's totally cloud-based, totally hackable. Each unit is basically like a developer's unit for that everybody gets shipped. Each unit you can totally hack it, root it. You don't void the warranty if you root it. I think they'll even send you another one if you do mess around and brick it. And they had good support, and ironically enough, one of their big supporters was Onlive, which was something I was excited about. They have support from Onlive, from Square Enix, Xbox Media Center, and a couple of other. Plex is also on with them. A couple of game streamers and movie streaming people are online with them. So let's see, they have 63,300 backers. I don't know how many of those are actual people that are going to get units, and I think it's about 60,000 or 57,000 of those are actual people with units. So I mean, keep an eye out for this. Like I said, if all goes well, this thing should be launching by next March or April. And if it's looking good, I might pick one up. I mean, I'm hoping it keeps the same $100 to $150 price tag.
I'm sure it will. They got so much backing like that. I think they made it a point to make it that cheap to get some attention. Like, hey, look at us. They'll pretty much kind of kill their following, I think, if they try to jack up the price for the same unit, unless they make up a quote-unquote elite unit, something like that. That would warrant the price raise. But, I mean, it's different. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. I want to see a little bit more developing. You're a little bit more, like, adventurous when it comes to trying shit.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, I don't know. I'm always like, I'm always playing doubtful and shit.
Yeah,
but I'm definitely going to keep my eye on this and see what happens. But I barely have time for my Xbox as it is.
I know, you know what? That's the great thing about it. I have my Xbox sitting here. All I use it is to stream Netflix. And if anybody has I have one of the original Xbox 360, and that motherfucker sounds like a fucking Ferrari engine, and not in the good way. Like when that motherfucker's playing a DVD or a disc or even Netflix and it starts heating up or whatever, the thing is loud and it's ugly. Nobody can tell me the Xbox is not ugly. The control is a good control, but the box itself is an ugly thing. It's like almost like a slim down computer tower, which isn't necessarily a good thing. It's an ugly computer tower too. And this Ouya, the Ouya, it's just like a little box. It's chilling. The control has multi-touch. If I'm not wrong, it's good looking, and it's entry level. I mean, it's gonna be entry level, but it's gonna pack high quality games. I know it's gonna pack high quality games. So when people think of high quality games, I don't know, they think of like let me see, I'm trying to think of what, like Crysis. I know Crysis is like the benchmark for computer gaming when you think of high quality games or whatever. And yeah, games like that are good, and the Halos of the world or whatnot, but the average person isn't interested in the Halos or the Crysis. They're more interested in the Angry Birds, the first person shooters on Android. And
man, I'm trying to play Where's My Water on my 50-inch, man.
Hey, I'm telling you.
That game got me fucking...
I'm telling you, you throwing Where's My Water, and these are going to be cheap games. Like, you're not going to pay $60, $50 for games. You're going to pay, at most, I'll see like a really high-end game on here, maybe running $15, $20. I'm talking about like super, super high-end with all types of multiplayer extras with it. But the average game on here is probably going to cost $2 to $5. Which again, that just totally fucks everything up when people are paying $60 for a new Call of Duty every 13 months.
Yeah, the game is definitely shifting right now. So another thing that I want to, and this is your thing with the game, everything's changing. And you told me this the other day with Windows 8, man. How do you you want to give everybody a little bit of a quick little rundown of how you feel about it? What do you think what are the cool things to look out for? If you want to just drop a quick some gems for everybody.
Yeah, earlier in the week I downloaded and I made a thread on the Kali.com about how Windows released a preview, a free release candidate of Windows 8 Enterprise version. I believe I'm running. I'll tell you guys actually right now. It's Windows 8 Enterprise Evaluation. I'm running that version, and I mean, I've said it before. I said, I think last week that I was gonna buy it soon as it drops. I installed an installation, went pretty good, except for the fact that I can't go back to Windows 7 now. But that was probably just a fuck up on my end. But the Windows 8 itself, I'm gonna tell you right now, people, don't be as scared as other people are. Like the whole not having access to the start button. You have a desktop app. I don't want to call it a Metro app because even Microsoft isn't calling it Metro app. You have a desktop app. One click, you're on your desktop. If you don't want to use that one-click desktop app, you click the Windows keyboard button, which almost every computer now has. You're on your desktop, so that's not a big deal. It's beautiful. Like visually, I'm a big fan of UIs, user interfaces, and Windows 8 has a beautiful user interface. You have these live tiles with updated information, and it puts everything right in front of you. I feel like I do things quicker here. Again, maybe 1 or 2 clicks less, which is, only 3 or 4 seconds. But I feel like I do things quicker here. The store right now, that's been my one major complaint so far, is that their app store is kind of lacking. There aren't that many apps, and I'm really, really, really hoping, especially now since this evaluation version is out, that the apps really start flowing in. Because they need to have a lot more apps when it drops. I talked to a couple of people, and I know their phone store has over 100,000 apps. This store does not have that many apps. I want there's only a couple hundred on here right now. Besides that, I really haven't ran into any major complaints with it at all. It's still in a semi-beta version, so some apps, like I said, some apps are missing, some things might be funky here and there, but it's done a wonderful job for my startup time. Like literally, once I turn my computer on, screen comes on, I put my password, I'm literally on, and like everybody says, in about less than 8 seconds, you're at your desktop. I think mine's even quicker than that. I'm actually going to time mine one of these days, but I think mine is actually sitting at about probably at about like 5 seconds or something like that. But yeah, Windows 8 is definitely a good look. I know a lot of people have said, oh, it's strictly for tablets, it's only for tablets. You'll get used to it. You will get used to it. You gotta man, like you gotta think about the future. You really have to think about the future. People have been stuck with this old Windows model. You know, your desktop, your start button, just come with it. Come use it with an open mind. You're gonna get to like it. That's for the regular users, though. I'm gonna say for enterprise users, for actual enterprise users, and company users, they're gonna have a hard time adopting to this because it's not the most I want to say worker friendly app and worker friendly OS out there. There is gonna have to be some major Windows 8 training going on, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and that's one thing I think Microsoft's pretty good at figuring out. When they implement something, they're really good at putting everything, just basically flipping the switch and making sure everyone's on the same page. But like you said, this one is totally different. I don't have any experience with this. Hopefully I'll be getting a new computer soon so that that will have Windows 8 on it. So I don't have to go through all the trouble of backing up everything and restoring and all that. But I'm pretty anxious to see what's going to happen with Windows 8. You know, I definitely am looking for something new without paying an arm and a leg for a Mac. And I'm not a big fan of the Linux systems. But we'll see what happens with this, with Microsoft and Windows. But I think by default it's going to be good. But just like you said, Danny, I think they're going to have a little bit of a hard time with the Office and things like that. But that's not going to be for a while because I know places that are still running XP on their computers. Like us at work, at my job, we have XP still. And
I have a feeling, yeah, they're going to have a hard time winning over, because it's been, for some reason, and I think it's some type of conspiracy, they've been getting negative press about it. And it's like when I first tried, I'm like, fuck, I'm probably not going to, I didn't mind the headaches. But I don't have one complaint. It literally took me about a day to get used to it. And I'm totally used to it. I'm just mad that this one expires in about 80 days or whatever. And I'm going to have to wait like 2 or 3 weeks before I get to just use the full version. They're going to have a hard time convincing people, especially the older crowd, to switch over. But it's really good. It does wonders for your machines, for your startup time. But I have a feeling that, you know, companies definitely are not going to hop on this right away. But this will encourage companies because there's going to be a price drop in Windows 7, and they're going to stop. They already said they're going to stop supporting Vista and XP. So companies are going to be forced to upgrade to Windows 7, which is an excellent operating system. And then people, if you love Windows 7 performance-wise, trust me, Windows 8, you don't feel, not that there's really lag in machines or whatever, but everything is just super, super smooth with Windows 8. Give it, definitely, when it comes out, give it a try.
Alright, that's a pretty much all-entailed recap there, man. Mm-hmm. So everybody, give us some feedback if you guys like Windows 8. If you don't like Windows 8, let us know. We'll talk it out. So, you ready to move into our pop culture, man?
We have our gadget of the week.
Oh, man, I'm always forgetting something, man. I'm looking right at it, too. So, yeah. Go ahead and talk about that.
The gadget of the week is a gadget called the Ouya, short for the Ubiquitous Computer Voice Activated and Always On. This, it's a little box. It's funny. Basically, it's like one of the old school beepers type of deal. So the deal with this is, hang on, let me run off the specs, pull them up here. This thing is basically always connected to the internet. Here are the technical specs. It runs Android, of course, Jelly Bean, 800 megahertz ARM A8 processor, 1 gigabyte of RAM, Wi-Fi, USB 2.0, high fidelity speakers, Bluetooth 4.0, temperature, humidity, and pressure sensors, light sensors, RF module, and 15A power outlet, adaptable. So, okay, here's the deal with this thing. It's a Wi-Fi, think of it as a Wi-Fi connected box, and I'll drop the link to this in the description. You connect this thing to your regular outlet, and it connects to Wi-Fi, and you can basically do anything on it. You can talk to it, be like, Ouya, what's the weather like? Or Ouya, am I free today? You know, read your calendar. There's going to be Skype integration. It's on Kickstarter, and it's going to cost $150 for you to get one. It is the app of the week because I find it interesting. I'm not going to go ahead and recommend for anybody to hop on it just yet, because this is definitely something where I think they're waiting more so on, it's more of a concept than anything else. I think they're waiting more so on getting the funding and able to for them to do more development of the actual thing. But it's going to be a neat little gadget for home automation. I can put several of them around the house. I believe I read somewhere they can communicate with each other. You can make phone, like I said before, you can make phone calls through it. You can read emails through it. You can have text messages read through it. You can use it as a home speaker system, as a home alarm system, voice memos, alarm clock, intercom system, baby monitor. It has all the potential on paper, and it's really cool looking. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see in the future, if this one's semi-successful, if you see bigger companies like I mean, I know Apple is already doing the thing.
I can see Apple doing something like that.
And they're kind of doing it with their whole Nest thermometer. It's like a $200-$300 thermometer or whatever. And they're kind of doing it, but this one takes it a step or two further. Again, it's the app of the week. It's sorry, tech gadget of the week. Read up on it before you buy one, if you're going to buy one. I don't recommend it right away. Let's wait to see maybe the Ouya 2. It might be nicer, but that is our gadget of the week, the Ouya ubiquitous computer voice activated gadget.
Sounds good. I actually would probably use that, to be honest.
Yeah.
So now I guess we can go into pop culture since my ass forgot how to read for like a few minutes. So you want to start with talking about this Breaking Bad from last week, man?
Breaking Bad. Again, as always, if you're listening to us and you haven't seen this episode of Breaking Bad, you can pause us. You can pause us, fast forward, because we're about to get into it. Yeah, this episode was pretty crazy. This episode revolved around the crew of guys hijacking a it's called methylene, right?
Yeah. Well, they actually Lydia saved her own ass, man, because they was about to whack her. Yeah,
Lydia was pretty much useless, because they found out through Walt at the beginning of the episode plants a bug in on Hank's computer and in his office, and through this bug they find out that the bug that was on one of the tankers from the previous week's episode was actually placed there by another FBI office out of I forget where. And basically there's bugs in all over the place, and their methylene connect through Lydia was pretty much useless. And I'm kind of sad, man, because Lydia can kind of get the business.
Oh, yeah,
she can kind of get it. So but they were about. They were about to offer. Yeah, they was about to offer or whatever. Then she's like, "Oh, I can get you a huge tanker's worth."
She said, "What she said? I can get you an ocean of it, right?"
An ocean of it. And she basically put the guys on a shipment of methylene that comes via train tank or whatever, and they plotted. They plotted crazy. I don't know if you want to talk about the plot real quick.
Yeah, that's fine. Basically, the plot, the whole heist is the train line goes through a part of New Mexico that it's a dead zone. There's no cell phone service, nothing. And the methylene, like, a lot of people don't understand that, like, it's just a chemical, you know. It's just a chemical. It's worth money, but it can be used in meth, but they don't think of it that way, you know. And that's why it's not secured at all. You know, it's just a train that goes through. There's two people, and basically, kind of between the lines where it's Walt and Mike kind of going at it again, where they basically wanted to kill the conductor and the engineer, and, you know, Jesse's like, "Oh, no, I don't want to kill nobody." And, you know, Mike drops another gem. He said, what did he say? There's two types of crime where there's two types of heists. One where everybody gets away, and one where everyone gets caught. Yep. And you can't leave witnesses, or what do you say? You can't leave witnesses, or something like that. I don't remember. But Jesse again saves the day. His plan was they're going to basically siphon it out. So what they do is they put these tanks underground, and they basically pump it out and replace it with water. And they have to get the train to stop. So they had one of the guys from the pesticide company act like his truck was broken down across, so they had to stop or whatever. And they do that, and they get everybody to stop, and they start hooking it up with Todd, the new character that's kind of making his way to the screen. But there's a goody two-shoes that pops up, and he, tries to push the truck across
an Indian
track.
guy. Yeah, an Indian guy.
A Native American guy. And then this basically just kind of threw a wrench in everything, because Walt being fucking greedy again. They basically pushed it out so that the water comes back and weighs the same amount as the methylamine, so they wouldn't have any issues when the train gets weighed or whatever. And Walt just wants everything to be done his way. He doesn't want anything to be stopped. So they get all that. Jesse damn near dies because Walt's being greedy because he's underneath the train. So they get all that taken care of. They celebrate. And then a little boy on the dirt bike pops up. And Todd busts his gun. He pulls out his gun and shoots the little boy.
Yeah, that was actually great. I wasn't expecting that. I mean,
not at all.
I'm usually real good. I'm real good at seeing what's gonna foreshadow and seeing what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I really thought the episode was gonna end right there, or they were gonna go chase after the boy and grab him up. But homeboy Todd went Chris from The Wire on us. Dude went ruthless. Ain't even think about it. Just killed the kid. And that's
yeah. What do you think about the tarantula inside the glass jar?
I mean, I was reading somewhere about I think it might have been on the Kali. There was something about that. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think nothing of it.
I think it. I don't know. I want to say it's Walt, just being trapped in that world now. Mm-hmm. But I kind of want to think it means Jesse, because Jesse's really. I think Jesse's just kind of in the game because he just doesn't have anything else to do. Because he's got money, he's got his house, he bought his house for cash, he's got his girl and his girl's son. He doesn't really need anything. You know what I mean?
I think the tarantula might, they took it. This definitely takes the show to a new level.
Yeah.
And this definitely, it wasn't no accidental kid got killed. It wasn't, and this actually isn't the first time. Because you remember, it might have been season 2, that one kid that got killed on the, didn't a young kid get killed on the playground or something? On the basketball court?
Shit, wasn't it?
Or he was gonna kill somebody or something. This isn't the first time.
The girl's brother, right? The one chick's brother?
Yep, the little brother, yep.
Yeah, so I mean, it's always something. But I mean, they really didn't have to kill the little kid. But I mean, I guess you can't leave behind any witnesses, because who knows how long he was sitting there, watching them. If he just pulled up on his little dirt bike, or if he watched them do the whole thing. I mean, regardless, Walt being greedy didn't have anything to do with this, and it kind of takes it away from him, and I fully expect that people that just love Walt and don't think Walt can do any wrong, they're gonna still stick by him. But I don't even know what to think, because they got to get rid of the body now, and that's going to bring more heat on them.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see what happens. What happens with the body? Because there's going to be conflict with it. I have a feeling Mike's going to come over and basically be on some. He's going to want to kill that Todd dude. For shooting the kid, and it's going to be on some old. I fucking told you guys, we should have just done it the easy way. Killed the 2 drivers, yep, and made off with it. I
didn't even think about it like that either.
Yeah, Walt's gonna come. Jesse's gonna be freaking out. Jesse's gonna have one of his nervous breakdowns again. Walt's gonna come over on his methodical. Walt will probably be the one to come up with the way on how to get rid of the kid's body, without even making it seem like it's a kid's body.
Right.
So it's gonna be interesting to see tonight.
Yeah, because you can't have a kid missing in the desert without them coming around in that area.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I think that's a benefit to them, because if they can do it right, they'll be able to get away with it. Because again, this kid's out in the desert, unless it's some shit where he and now I'm actually thinking about something now. Did the kid look Native American?
Nah, it was a little white kid.
Oh, okay, so what's this kid doing out in the desert? So that's gonna help them a little bit. It's not like some kid got lost in the suburbs or whatever. Kid got lost in the desert. But
it's the other thing too is that they were out riding around, but I think this is where Mike's gonna come in handy, because he's probably gonna cover up that kid's dirt bike trails.
He has to, yep.
So that's gonna be the key there, because if they can track the kids' trails back to where they were at, they can see where they were digging for them tanks and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be the key. Everything rests on that little kid, and I love how this show puts a seemingly huge plot, like taking methamphetamine from a train, and basically rides the whole story about what happens on a kid being killed. How that affects everything.
Yeah,
so tonight's episode is probably going to be good as well.
It's going to take the morality of the show is going to go to a different level now.
Oh yeah, definitely. So as always, we always kind of try and mix everything up, talk about a little music here and there, and the thing that had the internet going crazy, not really for a good thing, was 2 Chainz's album, based on a true story. And everybody and their fucking mom was so hyped for this album. And then an hour later, it was a shitstorm.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't get it. I mean, I used to read online and over in the Cali, people are really hyping this dude up. But, I figured it was one of those, inside jokes. I'm hearing his...
Like Lil B?
Yeah, no, not so much as Lil B. But again, I don't know what people were expecting. I was laughing. I was like, wow, hang on. People were actually expecting some classic album from this dude. His album to me was exactly what I was expecting. That's why I don't find this a disappointment, and why I don't think it's a bad album.
Did you listen to the True Religion mixtape?
No, I didn't.
See, you gotta listen to that. And the thing is that everybody, that was one of my favorite mixtapes ever. I still bump it now. I think, and it just based off the strength of all his features that he's been doing. He was on Mercy, and he had the best verse on the song. And, he did the Nicki Minaj song, and he's just been on everybody's shit lately. And I think you're partially right when you said, everybody just hyped him up so much. I think everybody's expectations were just too high. I thought the album was solid. I wasn't expecting much. I thought it would be dope. I just thought that it was, all over the place with the production and some of the hooks and things like that, and I couldn't really get into a groove listening to it. But he's got a couple of nice songs on there that definitely knock when you're in the car.
The production wise, the beats go hard. The lyrics, again, I wasn't expecting that much from him lyrically. The guy, I wasn't expecting a Nas Jay-Z album. Honestly, that's what I don't get. What were people expecting?
Right.
To me, he was on point. Again, maybe because I haven't heard other stuff, but to me, he was on point as some of the stuff I've heard before from him.
I mean, his whole thing is based off of, clever punchlines and just, saying funny shit, being an ignorant ass nigga like he is, talking about smoking, talking about fucking your girl, and things like that, and that's what he made his whole thing off of, just clever lines, really good delivery, and things like that, and just, I don't know, I think everybody just expected too much from him, and I don't know why, because he was never a world-class rapper. Like you said, he's not gonna come out and wow you with Nas-like lyrics or Jay-Z-like flow. But he had his own little niche and things like that. But I think he should have just stuck to what he did best. And I think maybe it's a little bit of overexposure. But at the end of the day, I think just people were really just kind of putting dude on a higher pedestal than what he really should have been. And now everybody wants to act like, oh, fuck 2 Chainz, this and that and the third. And it's but bro, all summer you were riding for 2 Chainz. Everybody was joking on Twitter our Lord and Savior 2 Chainz. In 2 Chainz we trust, and I'm gonna pray to 2 Chainz and this and that and the third. And now nobody talks about it. But his buzz, he had like almost like a Drake-like buzz before Drake dropped his first album. After So Far Gone, he just had so many mixtapes, out, and so many features, I should say, actually, that I guess just everybody wanted too much. But at the end of the day, I don't know what they were really expecting, because at the end of the day, it's 2 Chainz, and that's basically what it was. I didn't think the album was bad per se. It was okay. It was a little weak, but overall it was decent. I don't think it's like fucking people talking about this recycle bin Hall of Fame and shit like that, but it's the internet and everybody are fickle ass fans and things like that. So I don't know, man. I think he has gotta, maybe he'll redeem himself in this Cruel Summer album that's gonna be coming out, the Good Music album. Maybe he'll be able to redeem himself. Yep. But I don't know, man. It's 2 Chainz. He can carry a song by himself, but he's really good on features. But he can't carry a song on himself. I don't know, man.
I don't know that people gotta think like, this is, it's not Wayne, it's not these other guys. It's 2 Chainz. And again, I'm mad because the guy, they're really shitting on the dude. People turned on him.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they went from loving him to really like, this is some of the worst. Weed plate, this and that, and it's really not that bad of a fucking album.
No, there's a couple songs that I'm like, but then there's some I'm like, yo, this shit fucking knocks.
Yep, and the whole album. I'm gonna man, people gotta, again, I said it before with Windows 8, they gotta come into shit with a fucking open mind. Come into this album with an open mind. I wanted to say to the guy, I know it's not his first album, and I was gonna say it was his first album, but I think he had one. He might have had one when he was on DTP, and he was a Titty Boy. So I don't want to call it his debut album, but
I think it's his debut as a solo artist.
Well, his debut is a damn good debut album as a solo artist. Then
yeah, I don't think it was bad. I think everybody just got spoiled from all the features that he was. Like I said, dude had a crazy buzz all summer. You know what I mean? But I think if he would have dropped this in July or maybe June, people would be singing a whole other song. Guaranteed. But people are fickle ass rap fans anyway half the time, so it's not even that big of a fucking deal. I thought it was a decent album.
Yeah, it was. I'm gonna say, like I said before, it's a 3 out of 5 to me. For the music, it's a 3 out of 5. Matter of fact, this shit was better to me than the fucking Rick Ross album. People might want to crucify me over that, but it was better to me than the Chris Rock album.
I still haven't listened to that shit yet.
Rick Ross.
So, the geriatric action movie, Expendables 2, it moved some units, man.
Yeah, they, how much they do? 28?
28.8, so damn near $30 million.
That's pretty, I mean, you gotta think about the people, the guys you have in it, like,
Stallone, Schwarzenegger, Terry Crews, Jean-Claude Van Damme,
Randy Couture.
Yeah, Randy Couture.
With the randomness right there.
Randy Couture is that dude, though.
Yeah, Bruce Willis, Van Damme, Chuck Norris, Dolph Lundgren, Jet Li, Jason. Come on, this is straight to DVD action movie, like Regal
this shit
here.
Is a pickup game with action stars.
Yeah, like this is just fucking everybody. Again, these type of movies are real. The first one I liked it because it's just just straight up old school action with all these guys in it. So and I'm not surprised that this one did that much. It didn't do no crazy numbers. It did what I was expecting it. I want to see Chuck Norris up in there, man. Especially since you got all the Chuck Norris jokes.
Chuck Norris is like 60 or 70 years old, man.
And kicking ass.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Kicking ass in there. But
and my man Van Damme's in there. I didn't know Van Damme made so many fucking movies after I grew up. Because when I was a kid, I used to watch Double Take.
But you know what happened?
All of that shit.
Van Damme made about three or four classics, and then pretty much fell off.
Yeah, his movies like in the 90s, like
he made about 3 or 4 classics.
90s were ass cheeks.
Him and Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes, another one, has about 3 to 4 classics, but them fell off. I mean, fell off compared to what they did, but they still put out a shitload of movies. I've seen a bunch of his movies since he fell off.
Van Damme got a whole bunch on Netflix. I was actually watching one a couple of weeks ago, and I never could finish it. It's like he got kidnapped or some shit, and he has to like fight in this tournament or some shit. I don't know. I finished watching it one day.
Yeah, I know the movie you're talking about. Yeah, but I started to watch that one too.
But it was alright. I mean, I watch Van Damme movies to see him fuck people up, and I'm gonna have to check Expendables out just because it did so much. Maybe I'll check some explosions and people busting their guns and stuff. But these old dudes brought it apparently. Yeah,
no, I'll definitely be buying this one as soon as my local movie dealer gets it to me.
Pops in the barbershop, right?
Yep. So yeah, people.
Yo man, I got these DVDs.
Yeah, people.
Alright, so I heard you were telling me you watched a shitty movie the other day, man.
Man, I saw fucking on Netflix. There's a movie called The Hunter. This shit's called The Hunter, and this shit. Now I've seen a bunch of shitty movies on Netflix. Sometimes I see shitty movies on purpose. This one I did not go into it thinking it'll be shitty. It stars as a mercenary who's sent to Tasmania. I'm reading right from Netflix too. A mercenary sent to Tasmania to track down the last living Tasmanian tiger and obtain its genetic material. Tasmanian tiger may sound unfamiliar to some of you guys listening, but trust me, you've seen it. If you've ever seen like any of those old movies where they try to talk about animals as extinct, the Tasmanian tiger is this thing that basically looks like a big ass dog that has stripes on it and it's walking back and forth. Like that's the last video of one, and they're extinct anyway. William Dafoe, which he's actually a pretty good actor.
He's a great actor.
Yeah, he's
a beast. He plays a beast villain.
Yeah, he does.
He plays a villain. He's a beast.
He does. So and he gets hired by this multinational company to go collect a genetic sample from this Tasmanian tiger. He gets sent down to Australia or whatever, and he goes through this logging village. And the movie's just a weird fucking movie, man. You know, the premise sounds kind of good. You got a extinct animal, you got mercenary, you got Australia. You're like, fuck, man, like this shit's gonna good. This shit is whack. Literally, you see the Tasmanian devil about 2 times throughout the whole movie. It's an hour and 40 minutes long. It's all over the place.
Wait, you sat and watched the whole thing?
Yeah, I saw the whole thing. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and fuck the movie up for y'all. You guys can go ahead and thank me for doing this. Last 2 minutes of the movie, after a whole bunch of useless bullshit, he finds a Tasmanian tiger, shoots it, and buries it.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Shoots it and fucking buries it. Shoots it and buries the fucking animal. And it's a waste of a movie. If you want to avoid a Netflix shitty movie of the week, it is The Hunter by William Dafoe.
Yeah, we might have to start putting people on some shitty movies, but half the people they're like, hold on, man, this movie ain't shitty. I'm gonna watch it, and then we're probably gonna get our shit blown up. Like,
no, this one is shitty.
This movie fucking sucked.
This one is shitty. This isn't one of those movies that falls like, you know, on the edge of being shitty, not being shitty. This one is shitty all the way through.
Alright, so you ready to move into our new segment, man, that we've been fucking cooking up for like 2-3 weeks?
Yes, we have. Yes, we are.
Alright, so this is going to be our new ongoing segment for a little while. It's probably going to take us a couple of weeks to get through everything. But this is GeekSet Empire. So what this is Danny and I are building our own criminal empire. And every week we're going to add someone new to our team. So the basic format goes, you got a kingpin, you got his lieutenant, which is going to be his right-hand man, his second in charge. Their lawyer / counselor, advisor, whatever you want to call it. Their money guy, because every crew has a money dude, if they're smart. And then what did we say? Four enforcers, 4 soldiers. Four soldiers and their bodyguard, chief enforcer type dude, right?
Yeah, but you know we're also gonna be getting into it, like not just dropping names and moving out. We're gonna discuss the pros and cons of each, and we're gonna get into how they're gonna develop their criminal empire.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about how they make their money and things like that. So me and Danny gonna be going back and forth, and we definitely want you guys to keep in mind. Give us some feedback if you guys like the segment moving forward, or you guys got ideas, or you think we're fucking stupid. You thought we should have picked somebody. Hit us up. So you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Okay. You go first. All
right. So my kingpin is. Oh, I forgot to mention. We're picking people that have been in TVs and movies exclusively. No, like, I mean, it could be a real person that was on TV, but we're mostly all picking TV and movie characters. So I had to add that little twist in there, so y'all would understand it. So my kingpin is somebody everybody's familiar with. We were just talking about it. Is Gustavo Fring. To me, Gus is one of the best kingpins I've ever seen in a TV show or movie, because he's doing his dirt, but you see him every day, and he absolutely doesn't look like any kind of a threat. He has all the money in place. He has businesses that are legit. You got to have a legit business to fake your empire. So it looks like he's pulling in money from his companies, but on the low, he's pushing whatever. And we haven't quite made up our minds what we're going to be pushing yet. But he is a smart businessman, and that's why I picked him, because I know that he'll do what he has to do in order to make money for everyone, and he takes care of everybody in his crew. But he's also a sophisticated businessman too. So that's my kingpin. Danny, you want to go on with yours? I know you said you had to.
I'm going
do
left.
A little research.
I'm going left field with him. My kingpin might be not as well known as yours. I'm actually going with, from the movie Heat, Neil McCulley.
Oh,
Neil McCulley. This was our boy over here, Al Pacino's character in the movie Heat, and there was a quote he said in the movie that I think is one of the main things, and it's funny because your character didn't suffer from this, which was how I was going to attack your character if you'd pick somebody else, because almost all major kingpins suffer from this. This is one of the most famous lines from the movie. This is when he's in the diner meeting with it's Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. Actually, I'm sorry, Neil is Robert De Niro's character. Al Pacino is Vincent, the cop. So they're sitting there in the coffee shop diner, and Neil says, "A guy told me once, don't let yourself get attached to anything you're not willing to walk out in 30 seconds flat if you feel the heat around the corner." Now, what's so epic about this statement is that in a lot of movies, I mean, Scarface, Blow, Goodfellas, Casino, all these guys always end up being screwed over by the female. These guys are ruthless, calculated kingpin killers, but the female somehow always fucks them over. And in this movie, I mean, Neil's stuck, and Neil's a stand-up guy. He was a cold, calculated guy, sort of like your guy Gus is. But I just think, you know what's my one problem with Gus? Gus just didn't have, and again, to me it was a problem, but I know to you it was a positive. Gus just didn't have that gangster feel to me. You know what I mean? Like Gus, if Gus was some type of dude I see walking around my hood, I'd be like, man, that motherfucker get robbed around here. You know what I mean? Like
the
Neil.
Thing is about Gus though is that like he don't have to get his hands dirty, because the more your boss is like, okay, let's think about Marlo. The more you get your hands dirty, the more fucked up it is for you. Yeah. Because Marlo had a chance to walk out the game and be legit, and he couldn't do it because he was too hood at the end of the day. You gotta have like that perfect mix. But we've seen that Gus not afraid to get his hands dirty. He slit old boy's throat like it wasn't shit.
Yeah, no, he definitely. That's that was my only issue with Gus. It was just, I don't know, like he didn't like, you know, when you look at a dude like Scarface, when you look at a dude like Neil, like it's like, yo, these dudes, they've been through it. Like they have their hoods, they have their gangster stripes to it. But yeah, my pick for my boss is gonna be a Neil from Heat, just because the guy is such a cold, calculated guy. There's that one part in Heat where they're about to break into, I forgot what vault it was, and he's standing outside, just literally staring at a random van parked like a couple of blocks away, and he felt that the cops were there, and some other guy would, like Val Kilmer's character was like, oh, we're almost in the safe, and
Right.
Neil totally called it off. Like, no, like let's go.
Yeah.
Like, so the guy, he's cold, he's calculated, and he's a killer,
smart.
and he's a smart guy. So that's gonna be my pick, Neil as my boss.
Hey, that's when you said that. I know you were like, you said you were gonna go left field, and I was like, damn, I thought you were gonna pick like Kaiser Sosa or some shit like that.
No, not Sosa.
But I mean, I don't know. We'll have to. It's gonna make definitely things interesting. We got two different type of guys here that definitely. Well, I think your guy is more of a strong arm type guy, and Gus is kind of like
a business gangster almost.
Right. And I think the rest of my crew outside of my enforcers are gonna reflect that because that's kind of how I am for the most part. I'm a little quiet and I'm a little the calculating type, but those tend to be the most successful dudes. And I think Gus would have been okay if had not Walt fucking used his beef with Hector to take him out. But yeah, you were right. That was a good call with the females though. Is that everybody gets it? I had to throw. It's good that you threw Goodfellas in there. I had to throw Casino in there too because fucking De Niro was all over a chick, and she didn't even want to be with. She just wanted the money from him.
Yo, it never fails. From the biggest movies to the smallest movies, like these guys, they get caught. Like again, they're killers. They're making millions, running crews, beating guys down. But when it comes to like the female in the movie, they're just like they get caught up. And I mean, and you gotta think about it in Casino. Like that was the biggest,
best example.
Like that's the biggest one. Like, you want to punch the screen in Casino.
That part where she calls the cops.
Yeah.
When she comes in drunk, right? Doesn't she pull up on the grass or whatever?
Right on the grass. And I mean, he was lucky he had the hookup with the cops and they believed him. But I mean, she went and she fucked his best friend. Like, she just screwed him over. And the crazy thing, like, when he met her, I mean, she was a hoe when he met her.
Yeah, he tried to fucking save her.
Like, that's the best example of you can't turn a hoe into a housewife. That's Hood 101. And like that shit.
Wasn't she talking to what's that nigga name? Was it Al Woods? Is that his name?
Oh.
The dude that she was messing with on the side when the day that her and Robert De Niro got married, she was on the phone talking to him.
Yeah, to her pimp.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
To her pimp, and he caught her on the phone with the guy, and he actually tried paying the guy off, like to leave her alone. And it's just like, man, like how are you such a level-headed genius and you get caught up like that? Like why? And
Rothstein was a beast, man.
He was. Sam Rothstein, man, this fucking beast. And let me see what other movie pissed me off. The movie Blow. If anyone's seen the movie Blow.
Oh my god.
In Blow, he's another one.
Back for that shit.
He's another one. He marries his gold digger. She goes nuts on him like a couple of times. And one, she tells the cops he has all this work in the car, all this other stuff. He ends up getting fucked over and just gone. Like I said, Goodfellas. It was the deal with Goodfellas was he was trying to deal with too many women at one time.
Yeah, and his main chick, he was only giving her like half a story at a time, and then wanted to get mad when she did. Like, I always laugh. It was a serious ass scene when he beats the shit out of her in the house because she flushed all that blow down the toilet.
Yep.
And he beat the hell out of her, and it always comes down to a chick, and I think. With our characters, they're definitely like the stone cold type where you don't really see very many weaknesses from them. Outside of like Gus's, maybe his family, which you don't talk about much. But I mean, dude took out a cartel, so
yeah, Gus was nothing to laugh at. Gus was definitely tough. Like they never got into that whole thing with him and women. So that was a good thing. Yeah, that was a good thing.
So he kept his business separate from his dirty business, which is something that we always see bosses in the movie struggle with. And it's always like we were talking about the mob movies. It's always another hand in the pot. You know what I mean? It was always the mob, like in Casino. It was always Sam having to change something around so that he could keep working at the casino. And then he had Joe Pesci's fucking crazy ass in his ear all the time, doing shit on his own that he's not supposed to be doing. trying to make more money, and he's fucking his girl and all this and that and the third. There's always something. Also, not only the women, but it's their friends too. If we think about, God damn, I'm blanking. What's the Donnie Brasco? Not Donnie Brasco. Pacino. Carlito's Way.
Carlito's Way. He ended up again with waiting, man, again with the girl wanting to. I mean, the girl so much didn't screw him over in that, but without her attachment, I
think you're wrong on that, because if you go back, and I don't know, a lot of people don't like Carlito's Way is not so much a gangster movie like it is, but like if you think about the struggle, like when in the very beginning he said, okay, I'm trying to get out the game. I want to play it straight. That's why he started running the club and stuff. He wasn't trying to be a gangster anymore, but the life just kept pulling him back in, And I think the key thing there is that when Benny Blanco was in the club, and it all comes down to this fucking greasebag, scumbag lawyer. Because if the lawyer wasn't fucking that chick, that was Benny Blanco's chick. Yeah. Benny Blanco would have never came in there. But he tried to be respectful.
But you know what's the thing, that Benny Blanco wanted like a weird level of acknowledgement from Carlito.
He wanted to be recognized because Carlito was a legend.
And I mean, at the beginning, that club, there was another club scene at the beginning when Benny Blanco didn't want to pay the check. Remember him, and then Carlito had to come over and take care of it. He's like, oh, this guy's Carlito. He wanted to talk to him about business, and Carlito was like, I don't want to do it. That's where that rift started. And there was that. Then again, there was a thing with the chick, and then he was.
That's when they drugged him out the club, right?
Yeah,
beat the shit out of him, and he was gonna kill him, but he didn't.
Yep. And they told him to kill him. They told him to kill him right there, but he let him go.
Back for him. And his brother double crossed him too, which was like top 5 scumbag moment of any movie.
Yeah.
And that, it always has to do with somebody else, and that's why I kind of picked a dude that's a little isolated. He kind of is a loner a little bit. He kind of does his own thing. So I kind of tried to eliminate that curve a little bit, but you're right though. Everybody has that common thing. It's either a chick or it's your best friend. If somebody fucks your shit up.
Yep, and in both our cases, neither of them had chicks or best friends. So I think we both had good picks for our
so this is definitely gonna get interesting. So next week we're going to drop our right hand mans for our crew, and every person that we are acknowledging. I'm not going to pick a low-level dude to be my boss. So each person we pick as our boss has been a boss. Each person that we pick as our right-hand man has either been a boss, was trying to be a boss, or was like a right-hand man. But mostly we're going to keep with that same, the lawyer has to be the lawyer and all of that just to keep it consistent. So next week we're going to drop that. So now we're going to go into our last segment, which is our Netflix recommendations. Danny, you want to drop yours?
Yeah, my Netflix recommendation for this week is a series called The Chicago Code. There's only one season on there. It got canceled. There's only one season. But it's a good season. It's 13 episodes long. And it basically has to do with corruption within Chicago. Corruption on the police level, corruption on the political level, and just a lot of street shit goes on. A lot of good actors in the movie, a lot of good acting. Every episode is solid. The episodes do build up from each other. It's just not random episodes that don't build up. Each episode builds up from each other. And I mean, the only disappointing part about it is the fact that there only is one season, and there's good character development. That's a big thing about it. They develop each character. You get to learn about the police chief, about a local street cop, about a detective, about 2 lower street cops, and a couple of other characters. And they develop them real good. They develop about 6 characters, about 6 characters at one time.
Yeah.
And they do it. And the chief, the two
detectives.
Yep.
The one detective's niece and her partner.
Mm-hmm. The alderman.
Yeah, the alderman. That he's the main antagonist of the show. Mm-hmm. They're trying to get him up on corruption, but they can't nail him. Mm-hmm. What's his name? Delroy Lindo, that's his name?
Yeah, I believe so.
He's a great actor.
That's a great actor. There's tons of even the people who play the.
Oh, and we're forgetting about the undercover cop.
Yep. And all of them, great acting all around. I highly recommend watching the Chicago Code, especially if you're into crime dramas. You're gonna love this. So that's my Netflix recommendation of the week, the Chicago Code.
And I was so mad they canceled that shit. They weren't bringing it up for a second season, but they did do a good job of wrapping it up at the end. But
yeah, it just doesn't fall off. That's not that I forgot to mention. It just doesn't fall off after the last episode. They wrapped it up real good.
Yeah, it's a shame there couldn't have been more seasons, because I think that could have really sustained. Like, that could have been a go-to crime drama. Now that Law and Order kind of fell off. Yeah. And it had that perfect edge, like, had that gritty kind of edge to it, but it wasn't, like, too cliche.
And it's funny because, isn't Obama was from Chicago, right? Yeah. Yeah. Like when I was watching, I kept thinking, this whole Chicago politics and the Obama factor into it.
Yeah,
so you get to
big ass city,
and it's notorious for having that crazy, dirty political side to it, and you get to see it in the show portrayed really good.
Yeah, that's a great choice. Mine, I know I've been on that documentary kick for the last couple of weeks, so I'm gonna switch it up a little bit for y'all. Mine is a movie called The Double. It's a 2000. Basically, I'm not going to get into a lot of it because spy movies usually have multiple layers. But basically, Richard Gere's character is a retired CIA operative, and he gets called in by Martin Sheen. He's the CIA director, to look into this murder. At the beginning of the movie, the FBI is on the scene or whatever, and the CIA kind of waves them off. So you have that element of one agency kicking another one out. But there's a lot of different things going on, a lot of cloak and dagger type shit. But he gets introduced to Topper Grace's character, who is this young FBI agent, and he's an expert on this Soviet operative who's only known as Cassius. And the murder, it raises the CIA flag because the murderer's victim got his throat cut. And they figured that's the MO for Cassius, who would take out other agents during the Cold War and stuff, because Richard Gere is obviously a little older now. But there's a lot of different twists and turns to the movie, and the ending is kind of predictable, but the way that it comes about isn't predictable at all, if that makes any sense. But it's a really good movie. It got a lot of a good mix of action and like espionage, and I really enjoy movies like that. So it kind of leaves you guessing throughout the course of the movie, trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. But it gives you a good job. You can follow the plot line really easily without spoiling it too much for you. So that's my Netflix recommendation for the week, The Double.
A good movie. I mean, now that you're talking about it, I remember what it was, and it's a pretty crazy ending. It's actually a pretty crazy ending.
Yeah, the shit hits the fan after a while. But yeah, if you guys are into like spy flicks like that, you'll really love it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, I gave it 5 out of 5 on there. That's how good that one was.
Okay, so you got some shout outs?
Let me see. This week, just the usual, man. Shout out to everybody on Twitter. Our last episode was our biggest episode yet. Thou Shall Hustle edition. I mean, I know alone just on YouTube, last I checked, we were almost at 300 views for that one. I know we probably had as many, if not a little bit more, on Podmatic and on Stitcher. But yeah, shout out to everybody that's been following the show. Shout out to everybody on Twitter. Shout out, of course, to thekali.com. Shout out to BK. I know we haven't shout out directly probably, but shout out to BK the God and Brooklyn Zone on thekali.com. Really, they've been supporting us so far with anything we've needed, helping us get the show up on the blog and everything. So, yeah, on a personal level, for real. So definitely shout out.
Personal emails, Google Talk, things like that.
Everything.
I know Brooke personally emailed me and hooked me up with my press credentials for Bellator, so I'm trying to get in there and cover that for another show that I do. But I'll shout them out later. But yeah, definitely. But you got any Kali ladies you want to shout out?
No, actually, we've been slow with that, man. We have definitely been slow on that end. And we get plenty of love. Actually, you know what? And I'm going to shout her out again. I gave her a shout out last week, but definitely shout out to, she was on with us last week, to Thou Shall Hustle. Cause, definitely.
Thanks for helping us make everybody mad.
Yeah, basically. There was a little backlash from that. But yeah, shout out to her. Shout out to her. And if any ladies are listening to the show, you're always welcome to come on GeekSet Podcast. Feel free to hit me up on Twitter at Newark Hip Hop, and we'll get you on here.
Yeah. For me, usual shout out to the collar like always. Shout out to everybody that listens. Last week, like Danny said, we had a huge spike. We had a lot of controversy, but that's how we like to keep things around here. Shout out to my man Lukey. He was on last week. Lukey Boxing, my other podcast that I do. Doing big things there too. Shout out to everybody that got mad last week. Pull your skirt down. We didn't do that segment this week, but y'all got mad for a reason. So I hope we touched a nerve. That's the reason why you're mad.
Definitely.
Whatever. Y'all listen, and that's just good for us. But yeah, thanks for all our loyal listeners. You guys tune into us every week. We really, really appreciate it. Anybody out there, you guys have questions, comments, you got ideas for segments, hit us up at our Gmail. It's thegeekset@gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter at IGive0fucks. For Danny, this is Judd. This is GeekSet Radio. We out.